If you're going to do something, you want to connect with people, find something that requires some effort. Don't just like go for coffee, go for a walk or work out together. Sweating together is a great way to bond and build familiarity. Find situations where vulnerability actually gets created. There's this kind of interesting thing. I didn't understand for years why the dinners worked so well, but they were like wildly effective at having strangers just feel super connected. And it turns out that generally people think that if you trust me, you will be willing to be vulnerable with me. But it turns out that it's backwards. It's the most basic unit of trust is actually something called a vulnerability loop. And it works like this. When we were walking in, you were telling me about your kids, right? And I shared that I have a newborn. So imagine before my newborn was born, I was kind of freaking out. Right? And it wouldn't be uncommon for me to be on a call with somebody and be like, oh my God, I've never changed a diaper. I'm freaking out. I have no idea what I'm doing. Now, in that moment, if I call you up and I say that, you could make fun of me, right? So I signal vulnerability. If you make fun of me or ignore me, trust is reduced. But if you acknowledge it, and this is what you did in our conversation, you said, oh, Jon, I totally get it. And then something like, before I had kids, I had no clue what I'm doing. I'll run you through changing a diaper. It's okay. The moment that I see that you've signaled vulnerability to the same degree, trust increases to that higher level. It goes person one signals, person two acknowledges, person two signals, person one acknowledges, trust increases to this higher level. And that's how trust is built. It's one of the reasons that if people like overshare, then the next person can't signal, right? They can't fill the gap. If you're like, I'm getting a divorce, and they're like, nice to meet you. Like it just doesn't add up, right? You can't span the gap. So in the dinners, we open and close loops really quickly because there's a time constraint and people have to get a job done. And so when I am chopping something, I say, hey, can you pass me and before I finish the sentence, somebody puts a cutting board in my hand. That's an open and closed loop. I put my hand out, they put the cutting board in, I take it from them. It's an acknowledgement. And so any opportunity you have that opens and closes loops, you could be playing board games together, you could be on a team playing a sport, you could be working on a project, volunteer work, hiking, anything you could imagine, right? But that actually requires a joint investment of effort that will bond you way faster than, can I pick your brain?